Hey everyone, welcome back to The Thing About Wildlife in a Nutshell, where you will be hearing a bite sized story from our guest wildlifers' time in their field. Our lives among nature tend to be a string of funny, intimidating, or simply absurd anecdotes, and I'm going to be bringing these to you through some wonderfully diverse and fascinating voices. In today's conversation, I spoke to Tanmay Wagh, a marine ecologist who has been based out of the Andaman Islands since 2013. Ever since, he's been part of various projects related to coral reefs, mangroves, seagrasses, dugongs, elasmobranch fisheries, and leatherback turtles. At the moment, though, in addition to being on the outset of his PhD, he is also the project coordinator for the marine program as part of the Long Term Ecological Observatories program of the MOEFCC. I had a wonderful time speaking with Tanmay, who tuned in from the Andaman and Nicobar Environment Team field base just before Cyclone Asani turned into a storm over the Andaman Islands. Here's the episode now, the thing about Tanmay's diverse marine adventures. Hi, Tanmay. Thanks for joining me today and for talking to us on the podcast.
Ishika, thanks for asking me to join. Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. And it's really nice that you've joined us from the field base in the Andamans, which is expecting a cyclone, and we've had all kinds of internet problems so far. So I'm really glad we're able to do this.
Yeah, the internet seems to have improved. Like a couple of years, who would have thought, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
now
I
it's still
would
possible.
exactly. I would never have even entertained the idea of a video call or an audio call
Yeah.
a few years ago. So let's actually go back to when you first went to the islands, because clearly a lot has changed since then, and you've been there for nearly a decade now. You first went to the islands to study and work in 2013, and it's been quite a diverse journey for you since within marine biology and doing all kinds of different projects. So what was that first initial pull to the islands? What got you there, and why did you want to get into marine bio to begin with?
So I think unlike many of my colleagues, I don't think for me it was organic. It was never like I want to grow up to be a marine biologist. I think most of it was just dropping career options. Growing up. So after school, I knew I don't want anything to do with engineering or medical or law and stuff like that. Just don't find it interesting enough. So I decided, okay, why not try biotechnology? Because that was like the in and slightly different thing at that point, which would also potentially have given me a job. So I registered for my bachelor's course in life sciences. While doing my bachelor's, I also realized that okay, I cannot get myself to sit hours at a stretch doing lab work. That's just not my thing. But it would still be nice to continue this, but maybe with a little bit of field work. By this time, I was also introduced to fields like zoology, botany, which growing up I didn't even know, you know, were possible career options. So then marine biology actually happened by chance, where I was like, okay, if I choose to do a course in marine biology, then I can maybe specialize in marine biotechnology, which would give me a little bit of field experience and at the same time allow me to do biotech. All that has really changed over the last few years. I think a big reason of it behind it was coming to the Andamans, which again happened by chance. I was like, oh, this sounds like a really interesting place to be in. Who would have thought of studying in the Andamans? You don't even consider a place like Andamans when you're growing up. So it was just like a series of fortunate coincidences, I think, and glad that happened. And once the course started, we actually got a chance to snorkel a lot around Port Blair, check out different places, and then slowly it moved away from biotechnology, and I'm glad I did. Glad it did to things I think I really enjoy, like ecology, conservation, fisheries, and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much by chance.
Oh, that's really cool. And I actually didn't know that you did your undergrad in life sciences, because I relate so much to that. That's exactly the trajectory I had. And I spent so much time in the life science lab, and I was like, this is really fun to do as a student, but I can't see myself doing
Yeah,
this for the rest
exactly,
of my
right.
life. Yeah. So let's like talk about all of those coincidences then, because you've done projects with seagrass meadows, with coral reefs, with fisheries, with dugongs. I mean, there's just so much that you've ended up doing over the years. So how did you start out, like, and what are these different things that you ended up with doing?
Yeah, so like I said, like the first exposure was, when we started snorkeling around Port Blair, in like very accessible areas where we would just go every weekend. I also managed to get my dive courses done during that period. We would also like volunteer with some of the PhD students at Pondicherry University with their field work, like slowly getting interested in the system. And I think at the end of it, I was probably not ready to leave because I still hadn't studied anything in a lot of detail. I didn't even know about many things. So then I got a chance to work on a seagrass and dugong project with Elrica D'Souza from NCF, which was like my first real field experience. Um, and that was quite an interesting thing because she was surveying seagrass meadows across the Andaman Islands. So I got to roam around a lot. It was very intimidating because I'd never really done field work, never volunteered with anyone. I mean, volunteered a little bit, but not properly. I was new to diving, so I was just like, okay, this is really not as rosy as it seems. But at the end of it, I still enjoyed. And like I said, because I hadn't been exposed to the system before, a lot of this was trying to visit different places, trying to see different systems, talking to different people to see what is it that I like. Um, so I did that seagrass survey. Then I worked with Vardhan Patankar on his coral reef project for a couple of years. So by that time, I was a little more comfortable with Andaman, with um, diving and stuff. So I could actually see the system more closely. So that is the first time I think I started thinking of research questions and stuff like that. Um, and the problem with all this was, so the main idea behind doing different projects was the hope that I will be able to at least eliminate, if not like something, so that I know, okay, this is something I don't like or this is what I like. But I soon realized that that is not the case. I was liking seagrass work, liking coral work. That time I also got to work with Zoya Tayabji on her shark project in Andaman, which was another incredible experience because we would go to the jetty, um, to the Jangli Ghat jetty in Port Blair, measure sharks. People are just giving us weird expressions as to why are these people coming and measuring sharks and checking their genders and all that. So yeah, it's been a great experience, over these years to sort of check out different systems and different places. Like one of the reasons for joining this field was I was like, okay, finally I'll narrow down to something which is not as broad as life sciences. Yeah, how I was really wrong about that. Like it just it just mad. Like for turtle work, you have to walk on the beach for like 8 hours. For coral work, you have to dive for like 45 minutes. Just very different things that you end up doing. It's all fun.
Yeah. So this is probably a really difficult question, but which of these many things that you've done is the most meaningful to you, or that you've enjoyed doing the most?
That is difficult. Um, yeah, because I think all of these have been really formative experiences in many ways, right? So I would think it's unfair to have one experience that has shaped most of it.
Mhm.
But I think you by getting to do different things, I think I got exposed to a lot of different things, not just in terms of research methods and research questions, but also to people, how they think, how different researchers view the system, how they go about doing their work. So I think it's given me an opportunity to draw from various experiences. So I don't think it was I don't think there was one experience. Of course, there are certain things that are very close to my heart, like the coral reef project that I did was something I was really, I really liked, or the turtle survey, or whenever there's an opportunity to go and interact with school students, explaining them about their work. So I don't think I can narrow it down to one thing. It's just been
Yeah.
tiny bits from different projects which have over the years been quite formative.
That does make a lot of sense. And I think it's also a little humbling to hear that after 10 years, you're still calling them formative and you're still learning and figuring all of this out. And I think that's another testament to just the breadth of this field. So tell us a little more about the Coral Reef project, since it's something that is clearly very close to heart. And I know that you've also had quite a few adventures and mishaps underwater while dealing with the whole thing. So tell us a bit about
That's
that.
underwater is just but yeah, so anyway, so I was working with Vardhan on his long-term reef project, which involved sampling around 5 to 10 different reefs to understand the fish community in those areas, the coral communities and stuff like that. So we usually dive and do transects, which is the broad method. I really like it because I like coral reefs can get annoyingly complex at times. You just don't know what is causing what. It just too many things happening at the same time, which is also what I find interesting. Also, generally like fish, from eating to working on them. So I think that in some way got me interested in reef systems per se. But during my second year working with Vardhan, we were trying to study how the process of herbivory on reefs, something which has been done in many different places, but each system has its unique characteristics. The reefs in Andaman at that point were also recovering from this bleaching event of 2016. So it was an interesting question to answer. And that involved a part of it was to set up these herbivore exclusion cages. So essentially, a place where the fish can't enter and eat
Right.
algae.
Okay.
So by comparing areas inside and outside, oh, this is how herbivory is influencing. I mean, it was quite a process, right? Because we had to set these cages up. I mean, we had to do a whole round of pilot surveys, identify sites, set up cages at different sites, which involves a lot of hammering. Like, I'm pretty sure my right hand muscles are better developed than my left hand because of the hammering that we did that season. It was quite intense. And we had to go once every 10 days to clean those cages. Otherwise, a lot of algae grows on it, a lot of sediment settles on it, and you don't want that. So, in terms of fieldwork, it was quite an intense season, right? We ended up doing a lot of dives there. But Andaman being Andaman, the weather played its part, and in May there was a cyclone in which we lost all those cages,
Oh
and
man.
couldn't really get any data out of it. When I came back, I was super disappointed. But the staff here is like, yeah, I mean, बड़े बड़े शहरों में छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है. And I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Uh, so yeah, I mean, that was a great experience looking back. But at that point, I was like, okay, that's a lot of effort, just like literally getting washed away. Quite an experience.
Oh my God. That must have just been so hard to go and see after all of that effort of setting it up.
Yeah, for everyone, because so many people at Anet had also helped us stitch those cages together. So everyone was like, "Arey." I remember calling Akshay once, like we were halfway into the water and realized we forgot to carry cages. Came back, called Akshay, so Akshay came. So like, so many people had played different roles in that project.
So did you end up having to re-embark on the whole thing, or did you end up abandoning the whole
I
effort?
ended up abandoning the whole
Okay.
thing. I mean, we got a part of it, yes, but
Yeah.
realized that maybe sometime in future, who knows, but not right away. I don't think I'm completely over it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. It still is an interesting question. So
Yeah, no, definitely it is. Yeah. And I'm also happy that you brought up some of the staff at ANET, because clearly they have been, such a source of support in every way possible. And they've also become a second family, of course, to you, because you've been living with them for at least half a year for the last 10 years. So what have those relationships been like for you?
Oh, so much. Like it means a lot. I don't think I can adequately express how much the staff at Anet means to me. I think it's like you said, no, you've been here, you know how it is. It's like a family.
Yeah.
Um, it's like home away from home, because those are the people who you share everything with,
Mm-hmm.
bad days, good days, and you really, really bond with them. At least I have. I don't know. I can't speak for others, but it's been great. Like I think of them as very close friends of mine. I like to think that they think the same. But it is it is something that evolves organically. You can have really good working bonds with people, but for those bonds to cross that, interest in corals or interest in birds or interest in plants to something bigger than that, I think it is a longish process, and I'm really glad that I got a chance to be part of that. I feel a big reason that I keep coming to the islands is how much I miss the stuff, how much I miss like volleyball games in the evening, and I really, really want to be part of it. And it is just incredible how much you get to learn. When the stories start flowing, they just keep. I'm sure you have had the same experience, right? But it's so enriching in so many different ways.
Mhm.
I think my interactions with the staff have really shaped me in many different ways, and I'm like super grateful that they're around. Yeah.
So speaking of, things that have shaped you and that have kind of set you on your path, right now, the last year or two have also been quite important for you in your career, right? Because you've gone from being part of other projects that were led by other people like Elrica and Vardhan to leading your own projects, coordinating larger efforts. So now you're in a new role in the Andamans, even though it's a place where you had all your formative experiences, you're now stepping into larger shoes. So how has that been for you so far, and what direction have your interests taken you in now?
Yeah. So at Dakshin right now, I'm helping coordinate this project called Long Term Ecological Observatories, which is a project by the MOEFCC, which tries to understand how climate change is affecting different systems, different taxa across the country, multi-institutional project. And the marine program of that, of the LTO, is based out of the Andamans. Um, I think in some sense it was a necessary progression. I think I was getting like most of my past experiences had been like 1 year projects, where you plan for one field season, collect data, leave. But this is actually quite interesting. It involves a lot of non-research aspects, which have been a great learning experience so far. So, helping develop budgets, coordinating with different collaborators, researchers, planning for like a longish period, and also getting to be part of the different research teams. So I think it seems like a win-win right now, but it's definitely been a great experience. Yeah, definite step up. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to start off work the way we would have wanted to because of COVID and other delays, but it is picking up now, and so I'm really looking forward to the coming season. Also planning to start some work on reef fisheries, something which I've really wanted to do, which I really want to do. Basically, a lot of this coral reef ecology experience, and also a lot of uh, fortunate interactions with different fishers, I think um, sort of led me to pursue that as a question, if I
Mm-hmm.
may. I still don't have finer questions, yes, but it is something that I feel is very close to me because of the system and the fishery. It's also a big part of the islands, the fishing scene in the islands, and it's has gone through a lot of change in the past. So that's something I'm really looking forward to because it lets me study coral reefs and also talk to people about fish, which has been like from all those exciting things that I've done, two of the things that I really enjoy doing. So yeah, looking forward to that as well. Of course, all of this together is going to become a little hectic, but we'll only know when it starts.
Yeah, that really sounds like you have a lot on your plate. And yeah, but it also sounds extremely interesting and exciting. You've also managed to be in a space where you can both eat and watch fish again, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is a big motivating factor. Like how many people eat their studying species.
So it's a small elite group, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think that is where that interest also stems from, because I've grown up eating fish, grown up
Mhm.
in a family that loves fish in general, not just eating, from buying to cooking, the whole process. So like fish, I think, has been very close. So this lets me kind of bridge that gap.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
That sounds really, really interesting. And I hope we get to hear more as the work progresses, because it sounds like stuff that we should have more information about, and perhaps we don't yet. So that'll be really great. Um, yeah, thanks so much, Tanmay. This has been a really fun chat, and I know it is just in a nutshell, and there's a lot more to unpack, but we'll keep coming back to you, and let's unpack these stories more over time.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks so much for asking me to do this. Yeah, I may not have answered all questions, but probably because I drift when I'm answering it.
Oh no, I think drift, like I love how many subtle puns there are. For anyone listening, try to pick up all the marine puns that we've been dropping through this conversation. Um, yeah, no, I think it is a very broad field, like you're saying, and there are so many different threads to pull at. So this was just kind of a brief overview, but it's been really fun talking to you, and I honestly can't wait to see what comes out of the long-term project and even your PhD with the fisheries. I think it's going to be so great, and good luck with all of it.
Thank you so much, Ishika.
Thanks for listening.